pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, okay, thank you guys for picking up on my best.
I was trying to catch you.
Corey Myers, please come forward. It is my pleasure to be able to present you with Corey Meyer, 25-year city member of Devils Lake and assistant chief for how many years? Quite a few, almost quite a few of that. So it's my pleasure to recognize Corey for 25 years to the city of Devils Lake. Huge commitment to the Devils Lake, wonderful assistant fire chief. I had the pleasure of working with Corey for almost 20 years. And I tell you what, you're a good fire assistant chief, and I know you're doing well this under the new chief. Congratulations for what you've done for the community. Appreciate your dedication. We'll see what we can do. If I win that lottery, I'll send them to Hawaii.
Thanks, Corey.
I'll wait for the tickets in the mail for a while.
Okay. Next item, first thing was minutes of the regular commission meeting held October 17th, 2022.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hammery,
Second.
Commissioner Pierce. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I would just recognize, I think we went out of order a little bit on the agenda.
Pledge allegiance. Okay.
We did employee recognition first, so maybe
Oh. Okay. let's see.
I would just
Mine's.
I would recommend two things. Minutes of the November 7th meeting, we're going to ask to table that as we haven't completed those. We'll have those to you at the next meeting.
Okay.
And then I would just probably, being as the city attorney's in here, I would just probably recommend moving the proposal opening on the agenda down after awards and proclamations. That's all I would make a motion of that, just because it's a public hearing.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to read the proposal openings of sidewalk snow removal to follow the awards and proclamations.
Okay. We have a motion to adjust the agenda. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Hatch. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, so we 5:30 proposal for sidewalk snow removal.
I'll open this up. Proposal for 2023 sidewalk snow and ice removal. John Dahl, Dakota Wash Master LLP, Mini H Cleaning Center. The total proposal bid $4,493.75.
How much was that again?
Like, you want to discern the pertinent information off that?
What was the total again?
$4,493.75. Let me review the numbers and I will make a recommendation for award under portfolios tonight if that works for the commission.
That's the only bid?
Correct.
Okay, we'll move on to the minutes now. Or wait, we have a public hearing yet, right?
We already did that.
Okay. I got messed up here.
Into the minutes for October 27th.
Yeah, now we need the minutes of the special commission meeting held October 27th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Robbins,
Second.
Commissioner Hammery. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The minutes of the regular commission meeting held November 7th, 2022.
Those have to be
That's
pushed.
one we're not gonna
Please table
act
that.
on.
Table that.
Table,
Make a
oh,
motion to table it till the next meeting.
I'll seek it.
got a second by, first by Commissioner Pierce, second by Commissioner Hamry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, are we on track here?
President Mulder, before we
Yes.
go to the next item, you okay if I call in our city attorney?
Yes, please do. Our next one will be, let's see, what are we doing here?
This is the voicemail of Jack Yunker. Please leave your name.
Good try.
Things are going good, yeah? Okay. Well, now we'll get under visitors and delegations, and I would like to call Cale from the Park District forward for his presentation.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having us. First, I'd like to start off, I guess, just by introducing our new Parks and Rec Superintendent, Josh Jansen. If some of you guys have met him or haven't, but we welcome Josh on board to fill Terry's position, so as a superintendent. So, and just kind of gonna recap real quick. You know, we've mentioned on previous meetings kind of the process we've done. We've provided you guys, I believe you have some packets of information now that you can see. Like I had mentioned before, we had a community forum. We were able to fit into our facility plan the top 7 things that the community would like to see. And again, that included the movie theater, walking track, bowling lanes, indoor playground, your multi-sport simulators, some pickleball, and then community rooms. And so we've been busy working with the architects on a plan, and I believe you guys have that as far as in your packet. So you've been able to see that. And so I guess with that, just open up to any questions that you guys have or get any comments, Spencer.
I would just say, in the request before you, at least administratively, should the city commission choose to fulfill the request, I think the proposal before you offers very little long-term financial risk for the city of Devils Lake. Specifically, in the staff report, you'll see that the recommendation is to, should the city commission want to fulfill the request, is to do so by obligating the funds and formally allocating them at a later date. Once construction begins, this would provide the city necessary security to ensure the project does come to fruition prior to releasing the funds, but it's also would give the Park District the necessary financial commitment and the expectation that they would seek from the city of Devils Lake. And so I really think as far as the request goes, this is fulfilling the commitment. It doesn't add any long-term unfunded liabilities, no maintenance costs, no additional property on the books, and upfront sponsorship of 10 years at $25,000 a year for the walking track that is intended to go into the building. And so I think, at least as city administrator, from a long-term financial perspective, very little long-term risk associated with this.
Where's the money coming from for that 10-year sponsorship?
Well, at the end of the day, when it comes time to allocate it, the city commission can choose where they would like to allocate it from. I would personally be recommending out of the quality of life initiatives that the city commission recently transferred out of the general fund for specific things like this.
My biggest concern with that is that's 10 years of allocating money that we don't know what's going to happen in 10 years. You know, it's a lot of, in my eyes, that's a lot of money to be allocating to give to something that we don't even know if it's going to take off. We don't know if it's going to, I mean, there's a lot of what ifs added behind saying we're going to sponsor for 10 years.
Yeah, so I think that's in that spirit, the reason why I felt administratively to recommend obligating the funds to reallocate at a later date, right? So if you obligate the funds now, the Park District then gets the nod that, okay, the city is supportive and should, we start construction and this thing is going to really happen and we're going to be cutting a ribbon on this thing and there's going to be a grand opening, that the city is going to be financially there in this level of contribution, similar to the county as they were looking to partner with the Park District just at their meeting last week. So I think in
that
that
walking track, you can lift that up and take it out?
I mean, you could probably take out some of the flooring. It's gonna be like that soft standard flooring, but
So we're gonna give 25,000 for 10 years on a building we don't even own, and the taxpayers are gonna be fronting this? I mean, it's their money that is gonna be going into it. They've already got the 1/4% sales tax that they're gonna be putting into it. They already fund the park board through various things. And now you're gonna come back and ask the city for 250,000 of more taxpayer money to get this off the ground on a building we don't own. Building in 10 years that they could come in and say, well, the lease is up, take your stuff out of our building. Now we're behind the 8 ball again. You also got maybe, and I don't foresee it because they've been in business for a long time here in town, but what happens if they go under? Somebody comes in, buys levers, says, no, you guys are out. Now we're back to square one. I mean, this is a great idea. I'm behind it 100%.
I am too. I'm not
Except-
trying to say it's not a great idea. I agree with Commissioner Hamry. But I thought, when I spoke with you guys earlier, you were talking about the $250,000 matching for the, what you got from the county. And that, I was just, after I thought about it and sat and thought about it as well, it's just, we've already put that money towards the increase on the property taxes. Sorry, Shane.
Well,
No, you're fine. And
wasn't the thought that we allocated some money to quality of life from our COVID funds? And that's where you're recommending taking this out of? Yes, and just to clarify, would we give them once everything's rolling, we give them the 250 all at once, not 25 per year? Would that?
That's what I, initially, that's my recommendation is upfront, mostly because it helps cash flow the beginning parts of the project upfront. And I've heard the conversation around the ownership of the building. And it was in that vein of thought where the first thing is, well, could the city contribute financially in the development of a specific part of that, right? And it was that ownership of the building, which the nature of the request of obligating the funds for a sponsorship versus the actual development of the infrastructure inside the building. So the sponsorship basically is like with anything, you put a nice designation of City of Devils Lake. This is sponsored by the City of Devils Lake. We would have our logo in the building as a major contributor to the project and helping it come to fruition. So that's where the sponsorship parts of it come as far as the recommendation administratively versus the funding of an actual physical asset in the building.
with your community forums too, how many community forums did you do?
we did one community forum.
How many people showed up for that?
I'm gonna say, do you remember, Kelly? Because
We had 78 people.
So, okay.
78 people came there and 78 people voted on each specific item that they would like to see happen first.
So 78 out of 7,300 people.
You got to keep in mind, they did vote that tax increase in, so that was
Nope.
because we need something to
Yes,
do.
no, it
We
is.
have a need for this in our community. We've talked about it long enough. We have an opportunity here. And we really, gentlemen, need to make something happen and show our support. Everybody else is stepping up to the plate. The county has agreed to, allocate 250,000. Sure look bad on the city's part because it's our city and they've been crying to us. And during our campaign, we were all discussing it. It was a big issue.
It's the $250,000, Mayor, is not a problem for me.
I think it's a small check to write for our kids in our community. And it's really, if you think of it in that perspective, we're trying to bring young people here, but we're driving them away by doing nothing. And it is time that we spend some money and show an investment ourselves so that we can get others to invest in also.
Well, it's easy when you're playing with somebody else's money.
It very is. Well, that money is probably most taxpayers' money that we're
That's
probably
what I
going to
mean.
use. Yeah, well, they voted to agree with it.
Yeah, they did the 1/4% sales
Quarter
tax.
cents, that's
Yeah.
what they agreed
Well,
They
to.
didn't vote for us to give them 250.
So part of the thing is, if I may, so to get everything done inside that facility is about $3.6 million. And so the way I looked at it, you know, from our standpoint, for as a park district, we know we're going to get that sales tax, but that only brings in so much revenue and it only allows so much. We're really, without this building, this project is a no-go. For one of the, probably the biggest quality of life issues that in my thought process myself, that we can give to this community. If we can get that down to 3 million that we have to borrow, let's just say, you know, that payment, so on a $3 million note is like $360,000, and it's going to depend on the rates and some different things, but roughly 360,000. So it gives us some comfort, you know, if the city plays ball and the county plays ball, which the county has already agreed to, you know, now we can get down to that $3 million amount, and we can have a loan payment that suffices that, because that's a lot of pressure on the park district as well to facilitate a $3 million loan. I mean, that's still above and beyond the maintenance and operating the facility to move forward with something for our community. So that's, I guess, why we have that ask. At the end of the day, whether the city felt that they wanted to move forward or not, I think we'd still plan to move forward because we understand the importance for our community. And I just think it shows that if all of our entities are standing behind something that we can really be proud of in our community, it will help us as far as even getting further funds from other entities, whether it's businesses and whatnot, to see that the city fully supported this at 60%. Park board's taking some risk by borrowing some money. The county's put some money in it. I think it would show a pretty big gesture if you guys were part of the story as well. So that's,
It's not, and I want to get this clear. To me, I'm not questioning the need for this in our community at all. Because like I told you, the layout, everything was amazing, what you guys have done. The thing that I've really pondered over and have a problem with is that a business cannot come to Forward Devils Lake with having a complete business plan from beginning to end. This was brought in without anything of that nature at all, other than raising the sales tax. And I believe it's our job to look at this money that they're paying in these taxes is just right now, to me, seems like it's just being handed out. And we have no idea who's going to staff it, how anything of the wages will be paid, the maintenance and upkeep, except, I mean, how much is enough and how much are we going to keep being asked for, Mayor? That's the only thing I'm looking at. You know,
On the maintenance upkeep, who's responsible for that?
well, we would be
So if it needs a new roof, we're responsible?
not for that, I wouldn't say.
I would think that would be the landlord's
Yeah.
issue.
Is there anything in the lease?
Yeah, I mean, we're having an attorney go through the lease right now to, you know, finalize some of those aspects to make sure that, I feel like we've been doing our due diligence. We provided you with a pretty thorough packet. You know, a projection is what a projection is. I'm not, you know, we see that in the banking world all the time. It's not 100% going to go off of what the projection is. But that being said, I mean, there's a pro forma, there's the costs associated with it. We gave you different pricing, and none of that's concrete because we have to weigh some of that stuff out, I guess, at the end of the day. But I feel like us as the committee and as the park have provided a pretty thorough plan moving forward. You know, I guess that there's always variables on everything that we do. And, you know, I can't say for a fact that I know every little thing that's going to be within this plan, but I can say that I think this is something the community can be proud of. The other thing I will kind of comment on is look at all the people like right now that leave our community to go to Grand Forks Northern Air or whatnot. They're leaving our community and then they're spending their tax dollars outside of our community. We need something where people are coming to our community. You know, I know of people that go to Candu or New Rockfords, and a community our size, people are leaving to go to those smaller communities because they have these amenities. I mean, I think there's a point where we try to move forward so that we can show the community, hey, we got something to be proud of now, or even the college. Now all of a sudden there's something for the college to recruit kids. Those same kids spend money in this community. It benefits the college, it benefits the community. And now all of a sudden, instead of having a hard time saying, what is there to do for me in the winter? Here's a facility. So, I mean, and there's so many different aspects that I think this project is rewarding for the community. But I guess, you know, it's up to you guys as a commission to decide if it's something that you want to support or not, I guess.
Just looking at it, you said, they leave to go to Grand Forks for Northern Air. They're still gonna leave to go to Northern Air by
Maybe,
looking at this.
maybe,
There's no
but
Northern Air in there. You've got a theater, bowling alley, pickleball, a playground, and your simulators,
There's an arcade in there too.
or an arcade. Well, we got two other ones of them in town too
I'm
now.
just saying it's in there as well.
But, and I understand you went off the 78 people that come in out of 7,300 on one form.
well, and in all fairness, we did more. I mean, we had that was just from the form itself, but we had, during open school or open house or whatever, the boards were in the middle school. There was a lot more people that participated in that, but we invited the public to come. I can't make somebody come to the forum. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, that's actually a good participation level for a lot of things we do in this community, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
But
I mean, just looking at it, I mean, it's great. I'm behind it. It just, when I look at an entertainment center or an activity center, a rec center, whatever you're gonna call it, there's 5 things in there. I mean,
But I think they were talking expansion in the future. I mean, there's provisions for
That's-
something like that also for.
That's-
and if this goes well, that's the whole point. We don't know exactly. I can't predict it, everything, but if this goes well, if this actually can make some money, then we look to our next project, and we don't want to end here. This isn't our final, our hope is not this is the final. We want to continue to provide different activities for our community, again, that our community can be proud of and support.
Have we asked or presented to Levers to buy it?
Well, that was part of the discussion at one of the meetings, I believe, is that the long-term
Yeah.
lease and then possibly ownership at some point.
Because I mean, I would be behind that. I mean, if Levers would come to the table and do a rent to own, a lease to own for the city back in hard, because then we know we get to keep it. It's ours. The additions, this, and this, we know. are
The other
staying
thing to
here.
note is that, I ran some numbers, and so we talked to the architects, and to build this facility, you're talking about $7 million. Well, I ran the numbers on that. One payment on a 20-year amortization for that is $46,000. The Levers are being more than fair by their rental agreement. They're renting the building for $5,000 a month. That's well under market rents to make this a go. And if you look at that 46,000, that's 40,000 that we can put in the bank at the end of the day. And if this goes well, we can build our own building if we know that that's there. But the Levers are also protecting us by not having to spend all that taxpayer dollars. And all of a sudden, maybe it isn't something that we think goes as well. And now we have an option to get out of it too. So I really think this lease is a win-win thing. To invest in, actually another thing is I talked to a local realtor, and that lease amount, that's a saving of $120,000 a year to lease a building, which over that course of 10 years is $1.2 million. I mean, that's a pretty generous gift for us to have something. Again, I always keep telling people, without the building, that the project is dead in the water. And so we have to look at the next project, I guess.
So then if you cash flow 40,000 or 120, 1.2 a year.
1.2 over the course of 10 years.
For 10
That's
years.
over 10 years, yeah.
Now, can I put you on record saying you're gonna put that in the bank for the future? Or are you
Well,
gonna use it somewhere else in the park board?
I'm
to
just saying
offset?
if the project facilitates us to put 40,000 of that 46,000 of a loan payment, sure. I mean, I can't guarantee I can't speak on behalf of the full park of what they're gonna do with the funds, but on my behalf, I would look to the next thing. What does the community want? And then go behind it. We did a future facilities thing, and one of the biggest things was an indoor pool. There's a lot to that. Those are expensive, so I can't say that's what we could maybe work, but maybe an indoor bubble. I mean, there's so many different options, and I don't want to be limited to anything. I don't know, as a park district, if we actually are making that kind of money, why we wouldn't invest it into the next best thing for our community. I mean, that's what we're all here for at the end of the day, I hope. So,
Well, I mean, my questions aren't an attack at the work you guys are doing. I mean, trust me, like I told you to your face, this is amazing what you've come up with, but I believe it's all of our jobs being elected by the people to ask the questions when it comes to tax dollars, you know, and that's just something I feel responsible for. And this has just been eating me because I'm on both sides of the fence. So I just, you know, when it comes to that 10-year sponsorship, it'll go towards sponsoring the track, but the funds are going to be used to pay towards what? Towards,
Well, the facility cut is good.
yeah,
It's 3.6 million. So I mean, it's a portion of the.
yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion to obligate $250,000 from our current fund that we have established for what would we,
I would just say quality of life.
quality
line
of
item.
life issues.
Quality of life.
And I'll make that motion.
Got a motion on the floor from Commissioner Robbins to authorize $250,000 to go to the Quality of Life Initiative. Is there a second?
I'll second it because it's needed.
Seconded by Commissioner Hatch. Any further discussion? Once again, any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry?
Aye.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
President Mo?
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
No, but where's the 10-year come in on that vote? Because he said allocate to $250,000.
It's obligated.
Hmm?
Obligate.
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 Okay, obligate, allocate, obligate. Like
Yeah,
Spencer
this-
explained earlier.
This,
That's
yeah, obligate to reallocate at a later date.
correct. Once you're confident everything's gonna go, then we can let
They'll
them
be
cash the
back.
check,
They'll
so
be
to
back.
speak.
They'll be back again.
But I'm gonna throw something else out there. Excuse me, Brad. I should have talked to you ahead of time. But in my mind, this would be something super for Forward Devils Lake to get behind with some dollars. I don't know where you feel, but like I say, I think Forward Devils Lake, a project like this, I mean, do with it what you want, but I think it'd be great to be able to support that via Forward Devils Lake somehow. Like I say, I'm just throwing that out as a thought. I don't know anybody wants to run with it or not, but I would suggest see if there's anything possible there as well. I don't know.
Well, they are a branch of the city, so
I mean, I would love to see some funds allocated if possible, and anybody has the same feelings, I would recommend that you maybe pursue it type of thing.
And something else I'd like to recommend as well is trying to put together some kind of a fundraiser to get this town to see how much really the entire town is back behind us.
Yeah.
Ask them to donate, you know, some kind of a fundraising event or something. Because, you know, you go to the key event for the college or the key event for the hospital and all these things, and they make thousands and thousands of dollars on these things. We should be able to, as a city, do that as well. Because if it's really that important to them, they're going to put that money forward.
Well, and we appreciate your support. I think this will go a long way into showing that all these entities are really backing a great quality of life project for our community. And I have been approached by different entities to whether it's naming rights or doing some different things. And I think that I'm hoping that on behalf of a lot of businesses, we'll see some really big support. Ideally, you know, if we could even get, like, I just say this by myself, but down to that $2 million mark, and then knowing that cuts that payment in half, it really gives us some ammunition to go to the next project, whatever even maybe you guys as a commission think is needed within the park district. It would really allow us to have some ammunition to fight for that next project. So that's what our hope is at the end of the day, but we just can't predict the future, I guess, all the time. So
we'll get into conversations on buying that building of 15 acres.
Yep.
There's lots of room there to keep improving for the city.
Absolutely.
And I agree, owning that would be a big step of just guarantees for us as a city. I mean, thank the Leavers for what they're doing right now.
That's a huge commitment.
It
that they
is,
made.
but I think owning it, knowing that,
Also knowing that the roof goes bad, they have to fix it though. That
Yeah,
kind of makes me feel a little better also.
yeah.
So, but I think, thank you gentlemen for supporting it.
thank you.
Thank you, Kale and Terry and Josh
Appreciate you
for
guys for your
your
hard work.
time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm looking forward to working with you on the project.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. All right. Okay, next up, Sean with the Lake Region Ambulance Service, please. State your name for the record, if you would, please.
John Blake, Regional Ambulance Service here for the ambulance and for the Joint Training Center. Not asking for any funds today, just gonna go over a few things that we're doing. The North Dakota Century Code 571551 actually calls for a city emergency medical service funding. You guys have a list of all of our equipment. And what this does, I've already talked to the county about it. What we're gonna be doing is going up on the ballots for a few things. One of them is actually serving a tax district like we have for fire districts, to try to get a tax district for EMS. The whole state's gonna go to this now, just because we're seeing all the EMS services throughout the state dying. Went from 300 some to 150 some. So we're losing all of our ambulance services.
Can you still do that being private, not owned by the county?
Non-profit, and actually we are owned by county and city
Oh, okay.
since 1966, which you guys forgot that you did own us. So. yeah,
You shouldn't say that.
I know. But when we do a tax district, it would be a city commissioner and a county commissioner would have to be on the board as well. So with that being, if we go for the tax district, we're also going to be going for sinking funds to help just with the cost up to 10% of our value of our cost depreciation for equipment. So our equipment is valued at a little over 1.4 million. So every year we'd be going for 114,000, roughly about. But this is something we have to bring up with Jack. And I'm gonna have the same thing going with Bull up at the county. And this is something we have to go for on the ballot. So just letting you guys know, I'm just being forward with everything. This is something that we're gonna bring up. Munich just passed this with an 87% approval rating because they don't have a service without that. Our costs are going way up. That's one of the services we should probably think about keeping as an ambulance service in this area. And insurance companies are not paying like they used to. They're really, really hitting us hard. So we've operated since 1966 without assistance. We won't be able to do it much longer, but we also have more programs we're doing. I was working with Jack with the VA transport. That's one of the services we'll continue with. Community paramedicine. We can talk about that later, but somebody's sick at home or somebody breaks their hip, don't qualify for home health, don't qualify for hospice. One of our medics will come up in a unit and go check on them. They'll have computer set up so they can talk to the doctor. We can draw labs, we can do all the vitals there. The patient doesn't have to leave their house. And then we can pick up the prescriptions. It's something we're going to do for the community. So, and that's something we just build.
How many substations do you got right now?
We have no substations.
You got in Lakota, you're not up in Edmore, nothing like that yet?
No. We help them along, and they want to do substations, but I recommend they form their own tax districts so that they can get their own services, so we can focus on our service.
Is that what Maddox just did? Because they've got one full-time person over there now.
And so did Lakota.
And so does Lakota?
Yeah, but they haven't formed their tax district yet. But Michigan and Macville have a tax district where they hired a full staff because they go between the two services to run it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're already fully staffed. We'll continue to be fully staffed. We're just going to be offering a few more programs for the community. One of them is going to be the VA dialysis transports. The other one is going to be community paramedicine. So, and with all that, it's going to take more money, more upkeep. So that's what I'm going for. I'm not asking for anything today, just letting you guys know that. Snow removal for the training center. The county has agreed to go ahead and do all the snow removal. So when the drone team has to get out, we'll be clear for them. So they're going to take over for that. The training center, I've talked with Spencer about this a lot and other people. We've looked at a few other options. That's about $250,000 for us to open the doors. That's with all of the training equipment. That's for the remodeling. That's for everything. And that's a lot of, most of it, let's say half of it is for training equipment. And this does serve not just the ambulance service, search and rescue, largely our law enforcement and our correctional officers, gives them a place to actually have some training besides a courtroom. And put holes in the courtroom walls, the judge gets a little upset. So fire department gets to do this as well. Most of their medical training will be done there. So what we've done for this is we looked at a few options. I just finished writing an Otto Bremer grant to see if we can get somebody from Otto Bremer. We've also looked at teaming up with the Bank of North Dakota with the Flex Space program. For that, I've reached out to 7 local banks, and we have bids being drawn up right now to look at it. We're looking at, what was it, 1% for any of them, 1 to 2% is what we're looking at. The county has already said that they would take over half. You guys have already mentioned before that you'd possibly take over half. The payments are roughly about $14,000 a year. We really just need help getting started. We're going to be looking to get into charitable gaming, and we're going to try to get offset as much as we can. So all that money doesn't go to the training center; it goes to whoever's helping us finance it.
So you're gonna be looking for about 125 from us.
About 125, yeah. Hopefully not that much. Hopefully once we start getting everything going, because this is a regional training center, not just a community one. So when we start having classes there, then we are going to charge so much. Talking to the school about possibly an EMT program in the high school. All they have to do is go to this facility there, and then they can pay for the facility. We'll have everything in place. Same with the college. So we're looking at a few programs to bring money in, and the money is going to go to paying everything off. So this is to start off with, and then we're going to try to become self-sufficient. That's all I got for now. This is what we're working on right now. You guys have any questions about what we're working on?
Any other questions? Thank you, Sean, for the
Man, less than
update.
5 minutes.
All right.
We should have asked for money. We're not giving you tonight.
We are? Oh, okay. Okay,
It's Christmas.
yeah. Commission
Thanksgiving.
portfolios.
Oh, yeah, gotta get past Thanksgiving first.
Commissioner Hamry.
Mr. Grasko,
Nothing on the utilities tonight.
got nothing, Mayor.
That was quick. Commissioner Hatch.
Mike, got anything from sanitation?
Nothing for sanitation unless you have questions for me.
Nothing. Rob?
Went to Eglon Valuation class in Bismarck last week. That was entertaining. Gonna be, just kind of want to put a reminder out there for individuals who are gonna apply or possibly qualify for the Homestead Credit Act. We'll be getting those letters out next month to get those applications in. And that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Robbins.
Mike?
Under the award for tonight, I recommend award of the city sidewalk snow removal contract to the Dakota Washmaster in the amount of $4,493.75. Unit prices are the same as they've been in previous years, so they've been doing a good job for us. Recommend award.
Okay. Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hamry,
A second.
Commissioner Pierce, second. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor, say, roll call, it's dealing with finance.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hammer?
Aye.
Commissioner Hatch?
Aye.
President Moe?
Aye, motion passed.
Just a handful of items under streets. The crews have been working, hats off to all the departments, sanitation, as well as utilities and streets, all working together for the snow removal fight. They all know what the priority is when it comes right down to when we get a lot of snow. One department doesn't have enough bodies in it to make everything happen. So you have sanitation helping out very much, especially in the alleys areas. Sanitation covers that. And then we have utilities that are filling in with streets. Street crews have, everybody's been putting in a lot of hours. And it seems like you just get ahead and then you get a little more snow and you get a little more wind. And so they've been continually out there. But with that, I would ask city residents, one, I appreciate the patience that city residents have shown. I think most people understand what goes into removing snow. But we'd also ask city residents to help us help them. We have some rules related to snow removal. We made some rounds the last week. City residents, we just ask when you're blowing snow, blow the snow in the yard if you can. Don't blow it out into the street, especially when the street has already been cleared. There's all kinds of green space for that snow. Try and keep that snow out of the public right of way, keep it out of the roadways, and try and put it in the yards where it belongs. A lot of people have plows on their trucks. Once you push the snow within the street, that becomes your snow. And so you can't push snow in the street and then leave a pile of snow within the street. We have rules related to that. So we just ask people to refrain from doing that. City crews will be coming around to clean those streets and avenues in due time. Once you touch the snow, even if it came from the street, it becomes your snow, especially in the downtown district. The whole concept behind no piles in the downtown district is we're trying to use smaller equipment, toolkits and such to edge out around our nice new curb. You know, we have a lot of decorative concrete downtown, and we don't want our 20-ton loaders pushing against that decorative concrete. 20-ton loaders pushing against curb and pretty soon you see that mark. And all of a sudden 20 years go by and your downtown doesn't look as nice and fresh as it did at one time. And so we're trying to use smaller equipment. And with that, if we have piles, we can't do the things that we're trying to do downtown. So some little things, you know, we're going to be meeting with Eric to try and get word out on that. The crews are out there working. Another thing is parking. You know, we ask people, there's a set schedule for residential snow removal. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 to 5 is during a routine maintenance period. That's when we're clearing snow from the avenues. Streets are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Now, if you need to remember, you know, when is street day, when is avenue day, just think Saturday and Tuesday, S and T, that's street. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is the avenues.
And then when they do the alleys after they move their cars off the street, I got a text today, an unhappy person moved their car from the vehicle or street. No snow removal happened there, but they came through the alley and put a big ridge up.
Today wasn't street day. So
Yeah,
today was
so, but-
avenue day.
Well, they moved it because it was apparently their turn to have their street cleaned, apparently.
Yeah, the avenue is,
Whatever it was, I don't
Okay,
know,
yeah.
whatever their street was,
Okay.
moved the car to the alley, and then they got a ridge that plowed it in the alley.
and I don't know how we would change that, right?
Yeah,
Because we
well, I'm
have
just
crews that
saying,
are going
those are the
through-
questions I get asked and unhappily asked.
And I don't know how we would time that, whether we would call that, one person and say, don't go to the alley because we have a crew going through the alley.
Are we ticketing and towing right now?
Not towing, but we are ticketing when we can.
Okay, I had a boat I noticed on the street with a big ridge around it, so.
Ticketing when you can. I haven't seen one on Kelly Avenue probably since last winter. You know, so why would anybody want to move their vehicles when they're not seeing tickets? I mean,
Yeah, I know, it's a
So,
struggle all
the
the
thing
time.
is if we can't, if Sam can't do it, let's look at getting somebody part-time to do it.
We wouldn't mind that. The problem we have is the, you know, we have communication sometimes between streets when they're doing it, when maintenance is taking place and when it's not taking place. So we don't always get communication is sometimes lapsed between the two. So, you know, I asked, you know, our department, so, you know, like so we have real good communications for downtown removal, snow removal, you know, because it happens at 2 a.m. So our people are down there ticketing, removing, and doing those kind of things. Maintenance is where we're having the problem, is that just like a resident, they don't know when, you know, maybe one Wednesday, Friday, it doesn't happen, and then the next Monday it did, you know, and so I understand there's difficulty there, but everybody should be removing their vehicle, don't get me wrong. But I think the problem we get is the lack of communication we have sometimes between the operator that's going down certain streets with our people.
So Sam, I mean, I'm not gonna put it all on Sam, but Sam or the head of streets couldn't contact each other that evening and say, hey, you know, we're gonna look at 8 o'clock in the morning, starting this chunk, or at 8 o'clock in the morning, they contact each other to see what's going on,
That's exactly what I said,
you know?
the lack of.
Yeah, it's
The
just a
standing
Look,
goal
I
is
would-
that is the standing operating procedure, is that communication taking place. So I think that does occur. There's, you know, but we have to, at this point in time, we do have to understand that there is one person doing the ticketing, right? And our goal, personally, our goal is not ticketing downtown. Our goal is not ticketing in the parking lots. Our goal is to not ticket on the residential. Personal goal is move your car. Because the ticket that is put out in residential, you know, fines double in the wintertime, right? We go from $15 to $30 in the residential, and we go from $25 to $50 downtown on the streets, and it's always $80 in the parking lots. The goal is not to have the ticket because your neighbor still sees the snow ridge. Your neighbor still sees the problem. So the goal is,
Your neighbor
And Sam, I
sees their
think, does a
neighbor
great
with a
job.
car that's got a ridge that they don't like in front of their house either, so.
so let's get
Fair
rid
and
of the
consistent
car,
is what we have to get to.
yes.
communicate and knock on doors, get rid of the car.
Yeah,
Downtown, I think PD does a great job of tracking down people with license plate numbers and trying to get them to move their vehicle because we don't have a towing service, downtown. There's a lot of liability with moving cars every, 4-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, and the way they park. So you can't make that happen.
Well, we can't take it out. We gotta get somebody knocking on doors.
Downtown PD does it at night. During the day, you have one person doing it. So if that person is sick, if that person right now is on vacation or working in a different capacity, you have one person, right? So
I know once they got consistent on Kelly Avenue last winter and ticketed, I mean, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it looked like a ghost town. Because once they forgot the first ticket, they were.
I've communicated with the chief, the captain, and the street supervisor, and the street folks have been doing a great job. But I have communicated very clearly to make sure that the communication occurs so that everybody knows, the left hand knows what's happening with the right hand as far as snow removal and ticketing.
Thank you.
So.
Anybody have questions?
The only other thing I got with streets on your school zones where the buses go, can you keep the gates up and go curb to curb? Because when those buses come down, I mean, they fly down them and there's hardly any room.
I'm not following what you're asking, Commissioner.
Leave the gate up, go curb to curb. Get the snow up and away. With those gates, you end up that far away, then that far away.
Well, we're not using the gates, in most areas. In fact, some school zones we're blowing the snow and hauling it out. We're trying to push it curb to curb, CMS especially. And there's no reason to have a gate down unless there's a specific reason for a driveway or an alley. The snow removal around the schools is handled by, the school itself. But if there's a specific concern, we can take a look at it. But all the school zones are on our priority routes, and we try and make sure that they are wide open before school in the mornings.
Well, my chunk must not be on this. Well, our chunk must not be on the school zone then, because
And not Kelly Avenue from 8th Street to 10th Street. It's not, no.
you know how many buses take that?
Yeah,
one
they're
of
not
them?
getting loaded or unloaded though.
But they're still traveling down there every day with kids walking and everything else, and cars sucked in.
There would be no reason for us to have our gates down on Kelly Avenue. There aren't very many driveways on that stretch. The driveways we'd be dropping, but for the most part, from 8th to 10th Avenue, the gate would be up. It is a narrow street to begin with. There's no question on that.
Well, that's why I was just asking if we can just keep them up and go curb to curb. That way, everybody can suck over as far as they can and less risk for school buses and everything else.
Yeah, and most of that stretch, they should be up because there aren't that many driveways on that or Kelly Avenue.
Yeah, it's just hard. It goes back to people not moving their cars, Shane, because you can go curb and then have to go around 4, 5, 6 cars and then back again.
We could use a couple commissioners living on that stretch to be our neighborhood watch.
Had them today.
I've been snow blowing people's areas out. So.
Yeah, so our crews are striving. It's not a perfect world. Somebody complained that today that the snow was removed all the way down to the pavement. Okay. Right. And it was a warm day. Wow. The snow was soft. Even if you're on float, right, you're going to have that. But just be mindful, city residents, be mindful that the people that are in that equipment are your neighbors. They're striving to do a good job. And there's a learning curve for all folks. We have
Emergency routes take priority.
There's no question. If you read our snow removal policy, if anybody has any questions related to that policy, as that policy was adopted, we said that policy is in a state of flux, meaning if there's changes to be made to this policy, we will make changes as we need to. All right, so everybody can look through that policy and see if there's any adjustments, but that's what we're going off right now. We're trying to adhere to that policy. And it's all available on our website. And there's also a snow removal brochure where people, just a quick summary. Some people don't like to read entire policies. So if you want a quick synopsis of what's happening with city snow removal, there is a brochure online as well.
Well, thank them for what they're doing for us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I will do that, Mayor. Thank you.
Anything else?
Anything?
Under engineering, we're just working on trying to put projects together for next year. We completed some soil borings and we're trying to put a plan together for 14th and 14th, securing the right of way there. Reached out to a few different property owners trying to get that secured. We'll be bringing paperwork forward for the commission to review when it's required.
And possibly next month, we could go over our 10 or 15-year plan, possibly. Not tonight.
No PowerPoint today, right?
No PowerPoint tonight. But
That's it.
just we talked about it a month ago or so, but just for an FYI, for maybe if it's on YouTube, somebody else will get a little education on it too as well. Because I'm guessing we're the only ones that really know that it exists primarily.
And we can see how long, the length of time associated with that. There's, one concept is to look at all of the infrastructure in one evening, so you can kind of really see cost allocation overall.
Maybe we should have the public works guy do it instead of the engineer. Just kidding. I'm sorry, Mike.
There's a fine line between too much information and not enough.
That'd be a good one for Devin to do.
Yeah, there you go. No.
So, but that map, Commissioner Robbins, what you're speaking of, that map is really, in my mind, something very to be very proud of.
I agree.
Especially from a commission perspective, because that shows, for the longest time, what we've talked about is we weren't putting any money into our roadways because it was flood fighting and it was drinking water supply. Those were our priorities. And when you break it right out, you have to be protected from the lake and you have to have good drinking water. And once we were able to get through that, we've done a lot of things on that.
Would
on
be
the
good for the
streets.
community to
Yeah,
see.
just as
Yeah.
FYI, if nothing else. Okay, all right.
That's the last point.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Pierce.
Chief,
We got 6 guys going to a hazmat tech class next week in Williston. That should be all covered by a grant, so that's about all we got going on with the exception of the fishing derby, so.
and then I was contacted today, the Ramsey County Fair Board is meeting tomorrow at 5:30 at the event center, and I will be attending that.
Okay.
And I'll have a report at our next meeting.
Thank you. Okay, Chief.
I got nothing.
Nothing. How about that? Okay. Come. Spencer.
President Mo, members of the commission, I would just give you a quick update on the loan guarantee for Kojak that was here at a previous meeting. I'd just like to inform you guys all that we got word from Western State Bank that between Western and Kojak, the deal was never finalized, so the loan guarantee is not in effect. So we are not, for lack of a better phrase, on the hook for that at all, as it didn't come to fruition. So otherwise, I would just thank all of our public works guys that are working. When you get snow 6 straight days in a row, it gets to be kind of a grind, right? Once you think you're done, it just keeps coming. I'm sure we've all shoveled our driveway one too many times. So I want to thank them for their perseverance over the last 6 days. And always remind people that it is, the beginning of the winter. It's a never-ending pursuit of perfection. And it's the attitude to always want to do the job better that makes getting to lead and work with the team here at the City of Devils Lake an honor every day. So.
Okay. Thank you, Spencer. That's it under portfolios. Anybody have any alibis of any kind? If not, we'll move. Nothing under old business. Nothing under the consent agenda. Under new business, we have the urban road agreement, and I'm guessing that goes to Mr. Mike.
I understand, Mary, you would like it to go to the Public Works Director, but the city engineer gets the response.
Well, you are that also, if I recall, so. But Public Works doesn't speak as much as an engineer, right?
I'm with you, Mayor. I'm with you. Every year, we have to certify that we're completing the maintenance for the urban roads projects that we've completed. When we're utilizing federal funds for some of our roadways, with that, there's an agreement with the Department of Transportation that says we're going to maintain it to a certain standard. And that maintenance has occurred, and we've been adhering to the cost participation maintenance agreements that we have. So this is the annual certification that the commission has to approve, as well as the city attorney and the different signatures on it. Recommend approval.
Have a recommendation?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hamry.
Second.
Commissioner Pierce, second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I'll make the motion to pay the bills.
Oh, well, we have got citizen comment. Is there anybody in here from the citizenship? Susie, Paula, anything?
Yeah, Sean.
Sean, you spoke. Brad? If not, I want to wish, first of all, everybody a happy Thanksgiving Thursday. Have a joyous holiday and don't eat too much. And now we have a motion to pay the bills by Commissioner Robbins,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pierce. Any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick?
Aye.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
President Mo?
Aye, motion carries, and nothing else come before the commission. Meeting adjourned.
Guys.
We killed online.